All right, well, this is the time for the panel of Living with LHON, where we have folks from the community, kind of high, folks from the community that talk about their journey being diagnosed with LHON or having a loved one or a family friend or whoever it might be that also lives with LHON. Really quickly about myself, my name is Maria Johnson, and some of you may also know me as Girl Gone Blind. I am the one that writes the blog, Girl Gone Blind, and I was affected in 2013 at the age of 49, and I was from fully sighted to diagnosed. It took 8 months, and then I was the first one in the family, and, well, the story goes from there. So, and here I am. I came to my first conference in 2014, literally like 6 months after I was diagnosed, and got involved right away with Lissa, and I have moderated and been a part of the conference ever since, and I absolutely love it, and I'm so glad that I've been able to do panels like this every year. It does tend to be a fan favorite. So enough about me. Go to my blog, girlgoneblind.com, and shameless. So anyway, I have 4 folks up here, and they're going to tell their stories individually. I'm just going to do a quick intro for each one, and then they, of course, will take it from there. So our first panelist is Dena Latsis, something. I had it down, darn it. And she was affected in 2015, and she is from North Carolina. So go ahead, Dena.
Okay. Like Maria said, I was affected in 2015, sometime in the summer around August. I turned 40 that year, and it gave me whole new reasons to call 40 the F word. I'd been doing that leading up to my birthday. I'm like, don't even say 40. It's not. It doesn't count. It's the F word. It's the F word from here on out. And it made it even more so because I started losing vision, and I was like, I had contacts, I had glasses, so I thought I was just needed a new prescription, maybe a little astigmatism, and I was like really bad in the left eye. And I'm also a diabetic, so the doctor thought it's just some of the diabetic retinopathy. I'll refer you, they'll laser it, you'll be fine. And the retina specialist did his job, lasered my eyes, and I was not fine. They kept checking for scar tissue to see if that was the problem. Referred me to a cornea specialist for an MRI, finally a neuro, who finally sent me to Duke, who thought, as an afterthought almost, we're going to draw blood and we'll send it off to check for this thing, and it may or may not be it. It's probably not because it mostly affects males. Well, we know that's not really true. And so a month later, like April of 2016, I got the diagnosis and found Lissa and all the information, found Girl Gone Blind, and everybody that I've met and found has been such a great resource and inspiration. My therapist, who, I talk about all of these pain in the butt things to, tells me, oh, you're such an inspiration. And I'm like, being with this group of people is so much more inspirational. But I went through, we moved to a place closer to town so that things were within walking distance. And I had been a stay-at-home mom for years and wasn't really working. I'd worked part-time off and on throughout my children's lives, but I was driving the kids to school. I was going to soccer practice. I was going to gymnastics, running them here and there to wherever we needed to go. I'd do all the groceries and the errands, and suddenly I couldn't drive to any of it. So I didn't like the word disability. I didn't want to just file for disability. I wasn't comfortable with that, at least not yet. So, because I felt like I could do stuff. Why should I be confined to disability? So I went through Services for the Blind and got, with their vocational rehab program, got a part-time job in retail, stocking shoes at a Belk department store. And it gave me something to do, gave me a little bit of a life, and I could walk to work if my husband couldn't drive me. I could walk home from work. It was within like 1.5 miles of my house, gave me a little exercise too. It was okay. And then we had Hurricane Florence come through North Carolina, which was a great, fun experience. And the store leaked and all the stuff. I helped pack up the things. It was great. and they didn't open again for 9 months. And I couldn't get transferred to another store because they were all too far away. So I have since applied for disability. I didn't get it back when the store reopened. I've considered applying for another part-time job. I'm even more interested now because everybody's doing so many amazing things that I feel like, why can't I do all those cool things? So maybe I'll take a class. Maybe I'll start a blog. Maybe.
Go for it.
But I get a lot of help from my seeing eye spouse. Everybody's like caught on to this seeing eye spouse thing because we all have either our sighted supporters or our seeing eye spouse or our, service human or whatever. And everybody has their little problems that we end up having as a result of our vision impairment. We can't match our shoes. And I came downstairs the first night with mismatched flip-flops, and Susie pointed it out to me. I was like, shh, all the blind people won't notice. Just wait, and my husband will bring me the right one. but it's a big challenge and a big journey, and I love watching movies and TV with audio description, and we figure out how to get by and how to work out things to help us out. I have used various magnifying devices, but usually my iPhone and my iPad are my best friends, and I love audio description, and there's like 2 people at our theater that know exactly how to work it, and they said I'm the only one that ever asks for it. And they see me coming every time. So it's been an adventure, and it's had good and bad things, and it's great to keep a sense of humor about it. And I think a lot of us have a great sense of humor and great time when you get us together to embrace all the good and bad, the ups, the downs, and be together because it's just so different when we are.
Yes, I agree. Good.
I think
Good. All right. Good. Thank you, Deena. One thing that Deena wrote on Facebook once that I completely related to, she has young kids, and trying to arrange all the transportation for your kids is a part-time job. You're a dispatcher. You're like, okay, we got one going this way, then you're going to pick up, you're a dispatcher, and we don't get paid. It's just a volunteer job, but you have to do it anyway. So, there's a lot when you're a mom and you become affected. There's a lot that goes to it. So thank you, Deena. I appreciate you telling us that.
50 things that I was going to mention. But.
Just put it on Facebook while I'll read it. So, all right. So next we have Clarke Huseman, and he is from Arkansas. And I'm going to let him go ahead and start and tell where he fits into all of this.
I have been a sighted supporter for 20 years, almost exactly 20 years. It was around this time in '99 when my son, who was 7 at that time, first started exhibiting some signs of some visual loss, and the script pretty much follows the same one that everyone here has. You go to doctors and they don't know what's going on, and so except for the details, it's pretty much the same kind of story. And as a parent, it's heartbreaking because you really have, especially at that point, because we didn't know that this was a part of our family. We didn't know what to expect. We thought he had a brain tumor at some point. We still have a calendar page somewhere, and there's a doctor's visit somewhere in some, not always in our state, something on every single day. And so when you're dealing with that as a parent, especially when you don't even know what's going on yet, it's extremely difficult. And then things get better, things normalize. You find the adaptive technology that you need. Your son or daughter figures their way out. You've got school friends. You've got all that stuff. And he, I don't know where he got it from. He's very sporty. I'm not sporty. I understand sports. I don't really care. He loves sports, and he's good at sports. He can hit a baseball better than I can. He can switch hit better than I can. I don't know how he does half the stuff he does, but he loves it. And that was always really important for us, was to keep him involved in anything that he wanted to do. It didn't matter if it was something that you would think was ridiculous for somebody who can't see to do. There was a program at some point through the School for the Blind called Jumpstart. And as part of and it's during the summer, and as part of Jumpstart, they offer to put you in some sort of job so you can shadow no matter where it is. And I don't remember exactly how this worked out, but he figured out that there was a photographer, an official photographer for the governor. And he said, that's what I want to do. And I'm sure somebody must have looked at that application and thought, now wait a second, this kid's coming from the school for the blind and he wants to be a photographer? But they let him do it, and he was actually pretty good at it. And we realized that he'd sort of been practicing for that a long time. We'd taken him to Disney World at some point when he was little, and he'd gotten a digital camera, and we just thought, man, he is really into taking pictures of stuff. And we realized he's not really taking pictures of everything, but he's using the camera to zoom in on everything so he can see it better. There are so many things that he just intuitively figured out that made things a lot easier. And again, as time went by, you know, you sort of almost forgot about that it was an issue. But we kept him involved in anything that he wanted to do, always. And then recently, about a year and a half or so ago, Cindy developed signs as well. And that is an entirely different type of gut punch. Even though you know the science behind it, even though you know that it passes maternally, even though we knew that Cindy had the possibility of it happening, it's such a rare disease that, you know, of course, you know, one person's going to have it, but maybe not two, certainly not in the same family. And so that became an entirely different journey. And we have our own business. There are only 3 of us that work there. It's Cindy's mom and Cindy and myself. And it's a very visual business. We own an art gallery, and we do custom picture framing. I don't think there are any aspects that you can't do that you need to see something. And so again, it's that process of figuring out which things can we adapt, which things can we do, how do we move around. And at first it was incredibly difficult. Again, you know, it's like, I can remember one day we're leaving the house, and you know, there were some things on the table you'd put sort of right by the door so you wouldn't forget them, and you know, I didn't notice them, and of course Cindy didn't notice them either. And I got the door, and it's like I almost started crying because I realized I'm the person that has to be responsible for seeing everything at this point. I can't say, hey, did you grab that off the table? It's like, well, I didn't even know that was on the table. It's just, I think that's one of the things that people don't think about sometimes for a sighted supporter is, you know, what are we going through? It's easy in some ways to identify with the person who's lost their vision because you sort of have an understanding of that. But I don't think people always realize what an emotional toll it is on the sighted supporter as well. Often we're picking up all of the slack, or you know, we're picking up extra duties. If there were 2 drivers, now there's 1. And in a business like ours, you know, I absorbed more of the production aspect of our picture framing. And you know, you sort of, you do become, well, you feel guilty a lot. And sometimes I feel guilty saying that I feel guilty. The guilt comes from being frustrated. The guilt comes from taking up all of the extra slack. It's like, well, you start to grumble about it. It's like, well, what am I grumbling about? Because my wife has lost her vision and she can't even see, and she's got all these other challenges. But I think it's important to remind yourself that it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be frustrated. And it's important not to lose your sense of humor. I think so often especially as a sighted supporter, you feel like you don't want to laugh at things that happen. But you know, if your wife bends down and starts petting the coat that fell on the ground because she thinks it's your dog, I'm glad you're laughing because I think it's hilarious too. Or you know, you might freak out and scream because there's a black olive on the counter that you think is a bug. I'm stealing that from Wayne. That was a funny story. But things like that happen at our house too. We have 2 dogs and they're very hairy, so there are always little hair tumbleweeds around. And I have to remind Cindy, this is dog hair. These are not bugs all over our house. So I think it's really important to try to keep your sense of humor and remember that you're not laughing at somebody because they can't see it. I mean, there are things that are just funny. And something else I think that's important to remember is so many people will come up to us and say they're sorry for us, and they feel really badly that we're going through this. And it's hard to take that in the spirit in which they intend it, but I don't feel sorry for myself. Cindy doesn't feel sorry for herself. I don't feel sorry for Christian. We all have things that we're dealing with. I can remember early on going to the doctor's appointments, and you're really bummed out at that point because you're kind of absorbing all of this and realizing I'm so bummed that Christian's not going to be able to do this, he's not going to be able to do that, and whatever. And then you look at somebody next to you in the doctor's office, and you're like, man, okay, this person is dealing with a whole lot more than I am. But what you're dealing with is hard as well. And I think that's important to remember too. It's like it doesn't matter that what you're dealing with doesn't seem as hard as what they're dealing with, but what you're dealing with is hard also. I've made myself notes. I cheated, but I don't think I've looked at them very much, and I've probably forgotten lots of things that I was going to say as well. But I've enjoyed being a part of this community. I think that's incredibly important, not just for the VIPs, but for the sighted supporters as well. There are lots of you out here that have filled that role, and it's important for us to get together also and to be able to compare notes and laugh about the things that we have to deal with. So seek each other out.
Yes. Thank you, Clarke. I love that. Seek each other out. Now, that's easy for you to say. So the rest of us just kind of stand there. But anyway, you find us. So anyway, Clarke, no, I loved everything that you said. Absolutely. Totally relate to the olive. Mine was blueberries. And then when the blueberries fall all over the floor, little landmines. You're like, I'm trapped in my own kitchen because there's blueberries all over the floor. So anyway, I've blogged about that too. But but the whole bug thing, that's seriously though.
I've had it with coffee beans that spill on the
Coffee
floor.
beans,
I'm
blueberries.
trying to stop the dog from eating them.
Yeah, and I have kicked what I thought was laundry. It was the dog. So kind of the opposite. Like, oh, who left that sweat? Oh, sorry. So anyway, it's kind of the opposite. I have pet blankets before too, and all that. So, and those are funny. And yes, sense of humor. Absolutely, we may have lost, one of our senses, but we got to keep our sense of humor. So, and the sighted supporters. So, thank you again, Clarke. Moving along, next we have Marcy Belk, and she lost her vision at the age of 20 in the year 2000. She is also diagnosed with MS, and she is from South Carolina. So, go ahead, Marcy.
Right. I did also write mine out because I knew I would forget. I can still read large print, but no, I can't see all of you, so that does help to talk in front of everybody. So forgive me for using cheat sheet. Again, I am Marcy. I'm from Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is just south of Charlotte, North Carolina, because no one's gonna know where Rock Hill is. First, I want to thank everybody here, especially Alyssa. I've been part of the community for a long time. I finally made it to a conference, so I want to thank everyone who puts on the conference and takes care of it. And of course, like they said, we are a community. We're the LHON family, so yes, be part of the Facebook group, be part of the community. We all, help each other out. So, when Maria first mentioned about me being on the panel, the first thought was, how am I going to get up here and tell everybody my journey and not ramble and go on too long? Because, of course, my journey has quite a few obstacles in the way. Mine kind of went very different directions. I don't really have a typical story. So I thought of a list of, I'm going to give to you my take on it, and how it can apply to some different things. My parents, my mom Brenda, and my stepdad Randy, took me and my husband, Ken, on a trip to Hawaii the year I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And we got shirts that had Chemo's Hawaiian rules on it. These are widely popular rules that have been around a long time and said to have come from Chemo Krogfrost. They are found all over the internet if you do a search, but I found that they are trademarked by Night Owl T-shirts, so I'm giving them their credit for their rules. So, Chemo Hawaiian rules. Number 1, I hope you, like I said, I'm going to take it from a different approach. Never judge a day by the weather. So starting off, this can go different ways, but going to interpret as do not let your diagnosis define you. I first lost sight in my left eye, starting with the typical labor story. Went to the eye doctor, thought I needed a new prescription because I was already wearing glasses. And when they covered the right eye, the eye chart disappeared. There was, of course, a black hole in the central vision. There is known family history of LHON in my family. And I remember when it happened to my aunt, so my first fear was automatically, I'm gonna go blind. Of course, they ordered MRIs, because they typically do that. But the results showed that I did have possible lesions on my brain. So my neuro-ophthalmologist sent me to a neurologist who specializes in multiple sclerosis. So now I was going back and forth between the possible MS or labors. So was a debate between those. The neurologist, Dr. Kaufman, put me on IV steroids just in case it was the typical optic neuritis, and he ordered the DNA test. Of course, after a long battle with insurance, got that approved, and the results came back positive. So basically got the, well, sorry, there's nothing we can do. Well, fast forward, fast forward 7 years, I started getting other symptoms. So I was referred back to the same neurologist who specialized in MS from my family doctor. And he looked at me and was like, I already diagnosed you. What are you doing here? And he said, it's very doubtful that you have both. He said, you have a rare disease. So updated MRIs were done and a spinal tap. And on the day, I remember it because it was a Friday, the doctor called me on July 13th, because it was Friday, 13th, 2007, and said, yes, you do definitely have both. You have multiple sclerosis and Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. Back in 2000, they didn't use the abbreviation LHON as much, normally just her Leber's. So then, can you believe it? I went back and forth with the MS versus LHON later because I had a big gap between when I lost sight in my left eye and right eye, and I was having MS exacerbation at that time. So since I was already having an MS exacerbation, it's like, well, did I lose sight in my right eye because of the MS exacerbation or LHON? Because it had stayed stable for 10 years with just the no vision in my left eye. So there was a 10-year gap, and my neuro-ophthalmologist said, well, it's almost been 10 years. I'm pretty sure that you're just gonna stay stable, because normally it's one eye and then the next. And that didn't happen to me. So there is more to me than having LHON and MS. A label does not describe the whole person. So rule number 1, a rainy day can still be a good day. Number 2, the best things in life aren't things. Well, this is a given. So my faith in God, of course, is more important. My family, I have a big, crazy, amazing family that I love very much, and they are all very supportive. They all know that, and I won't get into who does what because they are all great, and I have great friends and experiences. Number 3, tell the truth. There is less to remember. So that one, I'm just going to say, well, of course, everybody knows that, but so I'm going to relate this one to facts because it's the truth. So yes, LHON is genetic. This is the truth. I have a known family history. My 2 great uncles, one of my aunts, and now one of my cousins are affected. My grandmother has six daughters. So that means there's a lot of carriers in my family because it is passed maternally, of course. So the fact is there's currently no cure, but research has come so far from when I was first diagnosed. I do have hope that the future there will be. And when I met with the, one of the specialists, he said, your family's really big. They do know that this disease is genetic, right? But, and then my grandmother seems to have some guilt, but then it's like, it's not your fault because if you didn't have children, we would have never been here to begin with. So that's the thing about guilt. So, number 4, speak softly and wear a loud shirt. Actions mean more than words. We lost our vision, and yes, it sucks. But we can find a new way or different way of doing things. It is slow and aggravating and frustrating, but quit complaining and get out there and do it. It's worth giving things a try. I talked briefly about work, so I'm not going to get into all that, and the TV glasses and the magnifier a lot of you looked at. Feel free to ask me about any advice. You can contact me, that's fine. Liz has kind of put some people in touch with me, and go ahead. If you need somebody to vent to, yes, you can message me. I don't mind one bit. Number 5, goals are deceptive. An unaimed arrow never misses. Plans change. I still work. I work for Max Abilities, where I am a training coordinator for individuals with intellectual disabilities and other special needs. Oh, the acronyms we have at my job. You know, MS, LHON, oh, no, that doesn't even begin. Acronyms, where you work for an agency for special needs, yeah, all the acronyms we have there. And working with people with special needs, it's not for everyone. Even just some experience with consumers I work for provide perspective that there truly is no such thing as normal. And this job, is this the job I would have done if I still had my vision? I don't know. But I have still been able to do this job, so I consider myself lucky. My goal when younger, of course, was to go to college, get a job, get married, and have a family of my own. Well, I did these things, so I did move forward like the arrow. And I just lost my spot. So, like the arrow, like I said, a path can take different detours. Number 6. A lot of people like this one. He who dies with the most toys still dies. So I was trying to, like I said, I'm trying to relate them, but keep it entertaining. But Possessions, of course, are not what matters, and you cannot take them with you, so make memories. I try a lot of things still. I still do yard work. And my son is 9, and he goes out there in the yard, and Mommy, watch out for the ants. Mommy, the ants are gonna bite you again. Mommy, no, don't go. So he's my little helper. I still go to concerts. Concerts is something that you really still can enjoy without visually seeing. So I still go to concerts. I still love to go on vacations and try different things. I mean, you don't know if you can do it unless you try. There was one thing I tried last year that I don't think I'm gonna try again. We went down, you're from North Carolina, so you know Linville Falls?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not trying that again. After all the rain, they're like, okay, you gotta hike down to the bottom to see the waterfall. Yeah, 3 falls, but it got me a new cell phone out of it. It's in the river. So, and then, sorry. The other thing is, like, my neurologist, it's funny because I'm on one of the newest MS treatments, and she says, when I first started my new MS treatment, she said, you always have to fill out a thing about how many falls you've had since your last visit. And I had just been seen 3 months prior, and she's like, you have done here 3 falls. You just were here 3 months ago. I'm a little concerned about how many falls you've been putting on these sheets. I'm like, well, you know, I'm legally blind and I have MS. So poor balance, weakness in the legs, I can't see. What do you expect? So, I mean, I just kind of really try to keep my sense of humor about it also, because even at my job, my office mate, she'll go, oh, who just pulled up in the parking lot? I'm like, I don't know, a car? I mean, and then they're like, oh, someone will say, did you see that? I'm like, no. My husband, he is fantastic because the way I do work is where I live, there's not a lot of there's no public transportation. I don't live in like a big city. He always works night shift or weekends, so I work during the day, and then my son, of course, is at school during the day, so that works out for transportation issues and childcare as well. So, you know, it works for different reasons. Is it ideal? No, but it works. And everyone's like, well, you don't drive, how do you get to work? I'm like, my husband drops me off like he drops my son off at school. I feel like a little kid, but I'm just going to work instead. I do work part-time, because having both conditions, just the fatigue of MS and the visual strain, but it gets me out of the house. I have a purpose. I mean, seeing other people, being around other people, and I have a college degree, so I'm using it. So, and like I said, my job is rewarding in itself, so. Then, and another thing, like some people, I don't know how many, you know, have young children, but I was already, didn't have my vision when Reese, I lost my vision after Reese. So he always thought, you know, he just didn't understand why Mommy couldn't see. Well, he knew I didn't drive. So then he goes, well, Mommy, you just don't drive because you don't have a car. We will go get you a red car and then you can drive. And it had to be red car because that's his favorite color. All right. Number 7, age is relative. When you're over the hill, you pick up speed. Everyone gets older. Everyone deals with issues. LHON is our issue. Well, at least one of them. Like they said, we can get other things as well, so do keep up, follow up and all that. So this one, I'm thinking long term. With my MS, I am on disease-modifying treatment. Disease-modifying therapy. It's another acronym, DMTs. It is long-term to be on these medications. They are to help prevent future disability and to prevent exacerbations or flare-ups. They don't technically treat your symptoms. They do have medications for different symptoms, but I'm not gonna get into all that. If you can ask me, and I'm not gonna get into all the symptoms of MS as well, unless anybody wants to know later. Then, number 8, there are 2 ways to be rich: make more or desire less. Focus what's important to you. Going back to the try illustration with my son Reese. Reese has ASD and ADHD, so he has his own acronyms. I am a strong advocate for early intervention. Any parent should support their child, and if your child has special needs, you have to advocate. We get more acronyms from advocating. We learned about some of this at the education session, such as EI, OT, IEPs, and such. Then back to rule number 1, Reese has autism, but that does not define him. Me being told he has autism does not change how I feel about him. It just helps others understand how he perceives things. Then, so be an advocate as well with your own limitations. Number 9, so I'm almost done. Beauty is internal, looks mean nothing. Just remember that there is more to you than being blind. You are not that blind person. You are a person first. So I am Marcy that is legally blind. Remember, that's not it. I'm also a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, sister. I'm work, I have likes, I have things I like, things I enjoy to do. Number 10, no rain, no rainbows. This one is my favorite. Rainbows are more common in Hawaii than on the mainland, and I have always liked them. So, okay, labors is life-changing, not life-ending. Losing my vision is not the worst thing to happen to me. Neither are the other medical issues I have. So as I have said, things do not always work out the way you expect. After getting married in March 2003 and then getting diagnosed with MS that same year, that July, I waited for MS treatment because Ken and I wanted to start a family. My first son, Ryan, was stillborn when I was 38 weeks pregnant. So I was full term. He was delivered November 27th, 2008, which that year was on Thanksgiving Day. So I was blessed to have our son Reese May 14, 2010. I learned after I had him that babies are born after a loss are referred to as rainbow babies. I started to lose the vision in my right eye the next month. Still worse in the left. I can only count fingers sometimes on the left, but I am considered 2300 in the right eye. But keep moving forward and look for your rainbow after your storm. So that is it.
Very nice.
And here's the shirt with the rules. So here's the shirt with all the rules on it. And then on the front is a rainbow.
Those were fantastic, and I think probably everyone could take 1, 2, or all the rules and apply them like you have in all areas of your life. So thank you for sharing, all those different perspectives and aspects of your life. It was lots to think about. So thank you, Marcy. We're going to move on to our next panelist. It's Michael Patelis, and he lost his vision to LHON when he was 15, and he is from Georgia. So, Michael, you go for it.
I'm gonna sing. No, just kidding. Yes, so actually this is my official 30-year anniversary. My name's Michael Patelis, sorry. I'm from Alpharetta, Georgia, and this is actually my 30-year anniversary. It was about 30 years ago to the day, maybe give or take 3 or 4 days. I remember I was on vacation with my parents. We always went to the beach the 4th of July week, and that's when I noticed my left eye was bad. And then, of course, from there I went through the whole story of that everybody else does with the mixed diagnosis and everything. So fast forward 30 years, been through a lot, learned a lot, and I'm extremely happy. And I could say right now that I would think that Labor's LHON has probably had more of a positive impact on my life than more of a negative. And one thing I'd like to start off by doing is to thank Lissa for all the work and all the work that her entire team does in bringing awareness for Labor's. And you know, throughout my entire 30 years, I was the only one in my family that we know of that we've tracked backwards, forwards, left, right, in every direction that's ever been affected. And until November of last year, when my 23-year-old cousin started to notice some vision loss as well. And it was because of the awareness that my family had about my condition that they knew immediately what to do, and they got my cousin into the trial at Emory, and he's the earliest that had gotten into the trial at Emory, and so far he's having seeing some results. His visual loss has dramatically slowed, I would say. You know, mine was probably of a period of about 3 months, and he's 9 months into it. So hopefully he's seeing some results, and I think a lot of that has to do with just pure awareness. So one important thing that you should take away from this conference is to please let everyone in your family know. You know, you go down the list of who it is and let them know the symptoms. And you know, some people will be in denial, some people will be mad, they'll say, that would never happen to me. But just the simple knowledge, like Lissa pointed out yesterday in her list, just the simple knowledge of knowing what to do and what to look for could actually end up saving your vision if it works. So one takeaway that I wasn't originally planning on talking about that, but I did want to go ahead and say that. So from a personal perspective, like I said, I am extremely happy. I'm very successful, and I'm not talking about financially successful, I'm happy successful. I'm in the perfect place in my life. Have a beautiful wife, 2 kids. It's my wife right there, she's the beautiful blonde. Can you stand up? Stand up, blonde. Don't tell me otherwise. And so, you know, in life I always hear two of the most common phrases I hear with LHON. Number one is, well, why don't you get glasses? Okay. They don't help, and then the other one is, you can't do that. And I love, you can't do that. Because as soon as somebody tells me you can't do it, then I do it. Or at least I try. And sometimes I fail. Like this past November, I was putting up Christmas decorations, and I decided to get on a ladder, and ended up falling about 8 feet onto the driveway, and landed on my head. So, but the decorations got done, and all's good. So it was a little scary, but all good. So yeah, you know, sometimes it's I push it a little bit too much, but you know, I always take that attitude. And I think actually Labor's has been an asset to me more than a disability or being able to hold me back in life. You know, in business, you have different tiers of people, different kinds of confidence, people of different levels, and I've found that it's always been very helpful to me that I disclose my disability when talking to people, and then all of a sudden that breaks down all the barriers and everybody's on the same level, and I can humanize with each other, because you know, you tell people about your story, then all of a sudden they tell you about their story. And you know, most recently, I guess it was about 3 months ago, I'm in sales and business development, and I was talking to a customer and a prospect, and we were having dinner, and I was telling him, you know, about my visual problems. And I've noticed that this gentleman, he has a disability as well. He stutters. And after I started telling him about my visual impairment, then he started telling me about his disability. And, you know, we ended up talking for hours and hours, and then you realize that, you know, yeah, everybody has their own issue. Just like Clarke said, nobody's perfect and everybody has their own challenges. And it's because of that discussion that 3 days later ended up getting a huge order. Maybe it wouldn't have turned out that way, whatever. But it's always important that you're able to connect with people, and I think that's one of the biggest assets that I've been able to do in turning LHON from a disability or a challenge and turning it into an asset. With that in mind, also a couple other things I wanted to do is share some funny stories. I also wanted to, thought about calling this Laughing with Labors. So many funny stories that everyone has, like we've all talked about throughout my whole life. So I'd like to tell a few funny stories, and just so we can, end on a funny note, I guess, and with some laughter. So for example, a couple of years ago, I traveled around the world, and I had to go to Monaco for a conference. And I was there for a week, and I flew out from Atlanta, went by myself, and my wife made sure I had help all along the way and everything. And it was nice because I didn't have to worry about anything. I didn't have to wait any lines or anything like that. So definitely take advantage of all the benefits for you as well. But so anyway, like I said, I was in Monaco for about a week, and every day I learned that I had to take the number 6 bus from my hotel over to the conference. And we were about 4 days into it, and I was getting really confident that I knew exactly what to do, where to go, how to get off, and all that stuff. So it was like a Thursday morning, and a bus comes up and asks somebody next to me, excuse me, what bus number is that? And they said, oh, it's number 5. So, okay, good. So that means the next bus that comes is bus number 6. So the next bus comes, and I get on, and the bus driver starts yelling at me in French. He starts saying, and I said, what? I don't speak English. He says, oh, I'm sorry. I speak English. I don't speak French. Sorry. And he said, I apologize to anybody here who speaks French. I don't want to.
Lissa does.
Okay, sorry. She can help me, okay? I just give you lessons. Again, we went back and forth for about 3 times. Then finally he looked at me. He says, school bus. And I was like, and then I look over and, yeah, I'm on a school bus. I'm sure all the kids on the bus will look at me, what an idiot, really? The next bus was the number 6 bus. But, in all fairness, they all look the same, too. They use city buses for the school bus. So, that's how it goes sometimes. But I have so many stories. I guess one more I want to tell you. I had a big presentation I was giving at Apple. This was probably about 10 years ago. And my wife, Allison, she was driving me to the meeting. We were in California. And she goes, okay, you can do this, you have complete confidence. And I said, yes, I can do this. And, I was giving a presentation from memory and everything. I said, all right, I can do it. And I start to walk out, and I said, wait, where's the building? Because I had no idea where to go. So yeah, lots of stories and lots of fun. So the most important thing is to laugh, I think. Have a lot more stories, but the point is to just always laugh and have fun. Hopefully there will be a cure, and we can all get better, or we can prevent it from getting worse. But I think most importantly is always be happy and make the best of it.
Fabulous. Thank you, Michael. Hilarious, by the way, hilarious. And Laughing with Labors, that's a new blog title. Okay, so I'm taking it. Okay, I'll give you credit though, but I'm taking it. Okay, absolutely laughing, and that's why I put him at the end, because I knew he was going to tell some funny stuff, and so we can end on a really good note, and take it from there, and keep on with our great day. I want to add, last night as a funny thing, we were in one of the hotel rooms, and I know there's maybe 10 of us who were affected. I said, let's take a picture of all the affecteds. And then we got this great idea. You know how we never know where the camera is? So we all just said, just look wherever. And so you have this picture with every affected person just going like this and like this. And I'm laughing at all of them because I am thinking it is hilarious. But it was funny because it happens, right? We're like, where do we look? Where do we look? And we're just all looking different directions. Anyway, it's coming to a post near you at some point, I'm sure. But anyway, but we just laughed about it, because it does happen. So, and then we took a picture of all the sighted folks, but we just took a picture of the ceiling. Because, You know, we figured, well, that's what we would just go, we think we have it, we think, and it's just the top of one head or something. But anyway, so, you know, we had a good time with it, but it's just real life. It's just real life. So at this time, if anyone has any questions, we probably have a little bit of time. Well, Clarke, you can see if there's questions. So I'm like, we have someone who could see. So usually I'm like, you guys are, you know, anyway, microphone runners are running around, and if you have questions for someone in particular or the panel, just let us know, and we'll get whatever we can while whatever time's left. So, does anyone have any questions?
Come on.
Come on, just make up something. Oh, okay.
Come here.
Well, mine's not a question, and a whole bunch of you have heard this story, but I have something you got to laugh about. I was in the cardiologist's office last summer, and it was a really hot day. And the patient next to me said, I had my cane with me, and I have lots of, I should write a book. I should start a book, because we could all add to it, of great white cane stories. This is my pet peeve, because there's part of the population out there who I'm convinced doesn't know what a white cane means, and it just annoys me. So this patient next to me says, honey, I just got to ask you. He said, why are you carrying this white ski pole around on such a hot day? I'm thinking, and then they call my name right away. So I'm going in, and the doctor says, I said, doctor, I said, don't take my blood pressure. He said, Chris, what's the matter? I said, so I tell the doctor, he said, no one is that stupid. And I said, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's, there's definitely been, you know, selfie stick. I've been said, is that a selfie stick? Like, really?
He says there's someone on the right.
Okay, so we have someone over here. Clarke said that.
For Michael?
Yeah,
Yes.
Michael.
I like to travel a lot, but sometimes I want to go without taking my wife along as my seeing eye wife. And my grandson traveled with me to New Mexico last year, but this year I want to go to Arizona and meet my daughter, and I'm wondering, when I get dropped off at the airport, how do I find the door to get in and the counter, and how do I get taken care of so that I get onto the plane? And when I get off the plane, how do you get to the spot where the ride share is to get picked up?
Yeah, so absolutely. They have people that will meet you. You know, when you get dropped off at the airport, you will have to have somebody. Yeah, this is based on my experience in Atlanta, so it might vary from airport to airport. But you might have to have somebody that, when they drop you off at the airport, take you out to one of the external baggage claims, or even just a police officer, and explain the situation to you, and then they'll take you to the proper gate to your airline and introduce you to somebody from there, and they do everything for you. You know, when I went to Monaco by myself, literally I just, you know, got taken to the Delta gate, and then from there I gave them my passport and my ticket, and they took my luggage and everything, and I didn't have to do anything else except, you know, get on the plane. I didn't have to wait any lines. They took care of all that for me and everything. And you know, you just have to go through security with everything. But just set everything up in advance, talk to the airlines, and they'll make sure that that someone is there to help you every step of the way, even to the point where they will help you, you know, pass you off once the airline, as you get off the plane and you get your luggage, then an airport representative will be able to meet you from there. And they'll take you to the to the Uber line and make sure you find the right car, especially now at airports, because they've moved the Uber stuff far away. So sometimes it's located past the parking lot and just a far away location. But just start by talking to the airlines when you make your reservations, and then they will be able to set you up with all the right people to help you from start to finish. And I promise it's a seamless process. You know, my Monaco trip, I went from Atlanta to Amsterdam to Paris. There's like 3 stops along the way, and I didn't have to do a thing, because the airports are extremely challenging, you know, trying to look at signs and knowing where to go. So. No, oh, that's it. Or at least not that I saw. Maybe they did. Maybe they. I was walking around, and the guy was probably right next to me for about 20 minutes. But, yeah.
I have something to add to that about using what resources that you may have. Like, some of us sometimes feel bad about using a handicap tag. Well, you know, we legitimately qualify for it because we use my handicap tag and it's like, oh, well, look handicapped when you get out. I'm like, it has my picture on it. I mean, and then some venues, if you like go to things, you can ask for, you know, visually impaired seating. Some people don't even think about that. They do have visually impaired seating available. And we went to Disney World last year for my son. That was one of my I gotta try it thing, because the thing with MS is the heat does exacerbate it. So I brought a cooling vest and that type of thing. They provide accessible passes there. It was more so for my son at that point because he gets overstimulated with having autism. So you got to go in the fast pass lines. So that kind of helped with some of that. So yeah, just remember there are resources out there.
And I can add too, sometimes, like, I hardly ever use my cane. I have it, but the only time I've ever flown completely alone was like 2 months ago to San Antonio to meet a group of girlfriends, and they know that I'm vision impaired, but my husband walked me into the airport to drop me off to take me to the right starting point. And then from there on, I asked people along the way, like, I'm vision impaired, which gate is this? Or I used my phone to magnify signs as needed. Or I had my husband he looked up the map of the airport, and I was on the phone with him going, okay, I just passed the Chick-fil-A in this airport. And because I can recognize the big logos. And so he's like, okay, keep going, you're on da-da-da, and would tell me how to get to where I was going, following it on the map and me describing things I could see. Or I could do it by FaceTime and have him look at what was around me. So there are some things you can do on your own without always having to ask, because we have a very small airport in Jacksonville, North Carolina. I could hardly even get to the wrong gate if I tried. But the Charlotte airport is way bigger, and I had to go from one end to the other, but he like walked me through on the map instead. And I made it fine, and when I got to San Antonio to meet my friend, she's like, I'm at baggage claim. I'm like, I'm at baggage claim? And I had done just a carry-on, so I wouldn't have to be at baggage claim, but I saw where the baggage was. I think there was an extra baggage claim that I wasn't aware of. So I took a picture of the sign that was above me that I couldn't even read, but that way she would know where to come look for me. So there's things you can do on your own, even besides the things that they'll walk you through. So just you have to kind of sometimes find your own solutions that might help you or might help the people around you to find you. I'm like, I'm wearing well, I think I know what color shirt I'm wearing. You know, some days I'm wrong about what color I'm wearing.
I'm going to jump in real quick here, because this is a perfect time to mention IRA. IRA, and right now there's a 7-day free trial for everybody staying in the hotel. I get nothing out of this, but I have the little slips with the instructions on it. IRA is an app on your phone. You're in an airport. You call IRA, and AIRA. And you call them, connects you with a nice person, Evan or Linda or something, and you, hi, how you doing? Okay, I'm in the airport, and using your phone with your camera, they will describe what's around you. Okay, well, I'm looking for gate D. Okay, you're going to want to, and they will tell you where to go, and you're actually talking with a person who is helping you. You can also do this at home with a soup can and stuff like that, but it's just an app and you get a free trial while you're here at the hotel. And I have the little slips with all of the download information if anybody's interested, so.
I'm gonna add on to that super quick. I'm actually an IRA user, and to mention airports, IRA is a free service in almost 30 airports right now. So you can go to an airport, download the app as a guest, and get your way around the airport. And when she says you're calling someone, you're calling a trained agent. This person's gone through months of training. They know how to talk to someone who's blind and visually impaired. They don't do it's over there type thing. And they are vetted, they are background checked, the whole 9 yards. Unlike Be My Eyes, where it's just could be some random creeper in Vermont, okay? So this is not that, okay? This is, you know, this is better. This is better. Now, it is a paid plan like a cell phone, but I can, you know, use it at home to help whatever I need. Anything. They will read to you. They will do anything. They're there. You're never going to get just a minute. You're never going to get again. They're happy and chipper every time, 24/7. So you can download as a guest right now. You can sign up for the trial, but it is free in this hotel for the whole rest of the day. So you know it doesn't take away. If you are an IRA user, you can use it for free. But try it out. If you're with somebody who is blind, visually impaired, you're just a family member, you try it out. Check it out. Make the call. See how nice and attentive these people are on the other end of the phone, and the other, or they're on your camera. But here's the great thing: you are on GPS with them because you've already signed up. You're on GPS. They know you're at this hotel. You say, "I don't know where the bathroom is." They pull up a map of the hotel. They do on their computer. You're in the airport. They pull the map of the airport or the mall or the whatever. They don't judge if you want to buy, 16 candy bars. They're not going to judge you, okay? They're not going to judge the peanut M&Ms and all that. They don't judge. They'll just make I want the 1 pound bag, okay? So, they don't judge. So, and, you don't hear the, honey, don't know. So they will just get you to the 1 pound bag. So and you can connect it to your Uber and Lyft apps. So you can have your agent, you're done shopping, saying, "Can you call me an Uber?" They'll do it all for you. They'll stay on with you while you're in the Uber if you're not comfortable, all the way to the end of the ride. So they can screen share. You can use it as a small business for free. There's a lot to it. So I'll stop now. I get nothing from it. They happen to be a San Diego-based company, so I am involved with helping to do some PR and things for them. But again, the airport situation, and their goal is to have every airport a free access site for anyone that wants to use the IRA app for free in an airport. So please, please, please download it, check it out, sign up for the trial. It's pretty awesome.
It's like having a spare seeing eye human.
It's having a friend in your bag or back pocket all the time. I've said that before. I can pull that out, even at home, even if there are people at home, but they don't want to help me because I have I have kids. But I couldn't turn on my oven. The bump dots fell off. I sat there for 20 minutes having a tizzy fit, and I'm all up on the stove, and it was dangerous. Dangerous. So I called an agent. I had my oven on the right temperature within 15 seconds. Boom. Oh, they will. So anyway, so there you go. So there's the pitch, done, and Lissa's here. All right, so thank you so much, you guys. I love it when people share their stories.